Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to LCK Spring 2019. We're Atlas and Papa Smithy, and we have a Game 2 in our hands between Afreeca Freecs and DAMWON Gaming, where things were looking all Afreeca Freecs for the first 5 minutes, and then Asylus started team fighting at 0-3-0, and the game felt like it just turned on a dime.
A lot of people stealing MVP votes, so I definitely had Nuclear in my ballot. Don't get a real ballot. Speaking of changes, though, we're going to have double changes. Both teams are changing their junglers, what we were informed. So Spirit's in. That will give some more experience, and we talked about perhaps a loss of shot calling on the side of Afreeca, but interestingly, Punch will get his re-debut to the LCK stage. Was a member of Kongdu Monster, not in 2018, but in 2017 and 2016. A very good Lee Sin player in the past. I'll see if he's going to be picking that one up, but interesting because Canyon had that super clean kick in game number 1 to guarantee that first pick onto aiming, and the second one was all Nuclear. Spirit coming in, I think, is more predictable, though. It just doesn't seem like Afreeca have an identity when they have these young players who just haven't come together with great cohesion in the games we've seen.
Yeah, they need Spirit to be that glue, and I do want to defend Showmaker a little bit. I felt like he was deserving of the MVP in game number 1, despite the fact that Nuclear was absolutely fantastic. Javan support fan there, as you can see in the audience.
Get him away, Atlas. Get him away.
One of my favorite things was one of the comments that I read after the game was, you can't just put Smite on Javan and say that he's a jungler. He's a support of Afreeca Freecs.
Oh, we got some fans here of Nuguri. I saw a really good Nuguri fan art that I'm sure we'll get to at some point this series.
Yeah, so hopefully we do see that one.
Who's the Walrus?
I don't know. Who's the Raccoon?
Raccoon is Nuguri.
Oh, that's of course Nuguri, because that's what the word means.
Nuguri in Korean means raccoon, so there is the Raccoon himself in Nuguri. Great fight back from a lean early game in a tricky matchup, and guess what, Atlas? You know what his reward is?
What is it?
He gets red side, and Nuguri on the red side means you start banning your top laners early. Otherwise, the pain might start in the laning phase, not just the team fight.
And there's just so many different champions that he can play as well. We've seen already so many unique picks coming out of Nuguri so far in LCK 2019, so you can't ban them all, and we'll see what he actually has in store for us if he is given that final pick. Still, a lot of flex pick options, and if that Silas is left available, I have a feeling they'll probably snap it up. Yet again, felt like the blind pick worked out just fine despite a very, very tough laning phase at the beginning. But here we are into Champion Select for game number 2. A bit of a side switch up, a bit of a jungle switch up. See whether it changes in the pick and bans. As the Afreeca Freecs say no, Vladimir's still hitting the bench first.
How many top lane bans in the first round? I'm going to say 3 from Afreeca Freecs. Let's see if I'm right. You want to ban away Nuguri champions when he's on red side as fast as possible, and already Pop Smithy confirmed wrong. The LeBlanc is going to draw a respect ban. The fact that they threaded in the GP10 and just denied Galio from any relevance. We never even really said his name in the first game, but it wasn't just a Galio. It was Yukal, one of our big stars of 2018. And never could he really do anything meaningful because he was so outstatted by the enemy team.
Well, Silas is going to be banned away here by the Afreeca Freecs, but there is a certain karma that I still see available, and an Ezreal to go along with it, and Thresh is going to be banned. DAMWON Gaming want one of them.
And with Spirit in the lineup, is it time for the Karma Chameleon, or is it not? In this first pick, Cassiopeia being up has been a bait for some teams, Atlas. We haven't seen Cassiopeia doing too much winning, but we're going to see it selected here. Now, Spirit isn't in a flex role as far as we can tell. No recognized jungler in the lineup when Dread has been subbed out for Spirit. Spirit loves himself some Karthus, so he's the one jungler in the LCK that draws Karthus bans. If you look down into Challengers, it's all about BBQ drawing Karthus bans. Already mentioned that Punch is a clean Lee Sin. It's the champion I remember from Punch. It vaulted him to relevance, and that is why they will first pick Lee Sin on the red side.
Yep, and Punch looking to try and put back the Kongdu name, as he didn't exactly have the greatest Kesper Cup. We haven't seen him so far in the LCK, so I'm excited to see what Punch is actually going to be able to bring to the table here for DAMWON in place of Canyon, and the Ezreal is the one that stands out for me. That's going to be locked away, and Afreeca Freecs still have that Karma Chameleon, like you say, on the table.
Lee Sin and Punch in general was a player I had a lot of expectation for in 2016. He looked pretty good in the spring season there, and when they got re-promoted to LCK, you'll remember at the end of 2016 it was I Am Gyeonggi, where Kongdu Monster made the final against Samsung Galaxy. And Punch looked really good in that tournament. I thought he was really setting up for a big 2017, but lost confidence really fast and kind of fell away and then just was off the roster. So nice to see him get another chance on a team that is shooting for relevance here. We've already locked in the Lee Sin. A Yasuo on this patch, Atlas.
Oh, man.
We haven't seen one yet. I want to see it.
I do
I'm
too.
greedy.
So many fantastic changes that work out so well for him, but 8 seconds to go. Haven't decided to pull the trigger on the man with the flute in the mid, and it is going to be the Jace flex pick, picked up for either Showmaker, Noguri, Nuclear, or Punch.
Hey, support Jace with one hand, possible for Hoyt as
Hey,
well.
that's true, the 5-man flex. I don't know where the Lee Sin will be going. Maybe Showmaker plays that one in the mid lane, not too bad. Used to be a thing.
While both of them have played a competitive play, you really feel like this is top lane for Noguri. It's a good matchup into Cassio as well, because you can outrange in the EQ. She doesn't have much answer for. She needs a gap closed before it. Didn't mention the Afreeca lock-ins, but Sivir right now is very high on the tier list after the item rework. People are talking about her in the same breath as all the blind pick 80 carries. Wasn't a blind pick here, but Ezreal, obviously his wave clear is something he doesn't have much of. Can just trim waves, level 1, great, but after that, not so strong. So Sivir, Essence Reaver into pushing, very likely on the blue side here, and Aiming doesn't want to deal with being picked like he was in game number 1. Looking at the bans so far, and Showmaker's actually taken a Syndra ban in this particular round, so they feel like Noguri is going back to his trademark Jace, doing his best Khan impression. The Eve ban is, okay, we know your team is going to stick with Dread more often than not. Why is Spirit playing?
Exactly.
He's already drawn 2 respect bans, and he probably was our most notable Nocturne player as well.
Well, Braum is going to be the final ban here for the Afreeca Freecs, just to deny what is a very safe lane for the Ezreal and now DAMWON. Have that pick option.
It does take away a resource, and I love just locking in Zoe and saying, we don't need to last pick our mid laner. Zoe right now has almost no bad matchups, and we already know that it's probably going to be Cassiopeia or Urgot in the mid lane, so I like the Zoe response to a Braum takeaway.
This would be a Spirit special in the Gragas, but could also be a support, still keeping that flex available.
Again, Braum is gone, so Ornn, Gragas, all these picks are a little bit stronger in this particular moment. Will it be support? We'll find out very shortly. Hard engage is the Afreeca Freecs way today. We already saw it, initiating comp fall apart in game number 1. This time, DAMWON Gaming doesn't have initiation. They have a whole lot of poke. So hard engage is what you want, hard engage is what you got. But the support available for Hoyt, probably most famous for his Rakan, but can also default to some form of disengage. He'd love a Braum. They had to ban it, so right now, Tahm Kench might have to be the way.
Yeah, and actually really like Tahm Kench in this composition. You mentioned pick and poke, and what better than to have a Tahm Kench so you can all just pile in if one of those trouble bubbles lands.
Now let's remember, we saw a pick-poke comp, which was almost exclusively poke, work supremely well against SKT.
Yeah.
With a bajillion wards, with so much Frostfang. Nuclear probably going to get Frostfang this game to help with wards. Showmaker could pick it up too. They can't have it in as many roles without just having superfluous stats while you're getting the quest going. But it is notable that this week, it is the 1 week where poke comps are relevant. Feels like poke comps so hard to work when Baron buff was improved.
Yeah, because flanks
when
was
so
so
many
easy,
changes were there. When flanks were there with less vision, you can't ward your flanks. With Baron buff empowering minions for a couple of years, it got harder for wave clear champions and poke champions to operate. But this week is different, so I don't mind teams strapping on some poke. I'd just like to see some Frostmancy behind it.
Yeah, well, we'll see whether they are going to opt in for that one here, as a lot of options given over to DAMWON, and we saw it working out so well. Zoe and Ezreal has always been a combo that's been successful in the past. Whether it's going to be yet again, as we have a look at these team compositions once more, is the question that we have for this game. But a very powerful team fighting composition here coming out of the Afreeca Freecs, and now with Spirit at the helm on one of his favorites in the Gragas. We'll see whether this is going to make the difference to bring us to a game 3.
They got some shouting to do with the Sivir. They've got the Gragas cast. They've got Engage.
Oh, they've got shouting to do from both mid lane and AD carry.
Exactly. Engage, the name of the game here for Afreeca, because you look at DAMWON's side, they're poking, and damn does that poke hurt. If even one initiator gets chunked out, your turrets are going down, and let's see how many frosty blue 850 gold items are done, because right now, it should be multiple.
Yeah, and also the Lee Sin has to be so respected in these later team fights as well. Anyone gets kicked back, you're in a 5v4 situation, because the burst damage, the on-demand damage is huge.
Get that cursor off the screen. Asked and delivered.
Yeah, there we go. The thing that I really like is that Aiming has decided to go with the sneaky skin. course, the pizza delivery Siva will be forever synonymous with the C9 AD carry.
Why is that, Atlas? Explain it to me. Riddle me that one.
Oh, because of his incredible cosplay.
I thought you were going to laugh and go on with his gameplay, but yes.
Oh, heck no. No.
The cosplay master for sure. We all defer to Sneaky. He's inspired so many LPL players also to cosplay.
I know.
That's great.
And Bang.
That's true.
Which was absolutely adorable. You guys remember All-Star?
Well, DAMWON Gaming. Loading up at level 1 here. We're going to look at the runes in the matchup between Jace and Urgot. Didn't end up being a Cassiopeia matchup. Pretty standard stuff on the side of Keen, of course, and Kleptomancy against Urgot. It's not quite Scion, but it is the same idea of just getting that gold going, and there isn't really another rune that you desperately need as Jace, so I think Kleptomancy just becomes the default in any matchup you can get away with it on.
Yeah. A little bit unfortunate that you can't go towards the Frostmancy because, of course, not getting a lot out of the old Frostfang on the Jace, but he might just do it anyway.
And that's the thing, right? You get a bit of mana sustain, cooldown reduction, and maybe you just do it for what it means for the team comp. It's one of the few times where I'm like, damn, it worked really well when they had a lot of wards and a poke comp yesterday. And the counter to a poke comp is hard engaged. So if you can stay even or ahead and put down those wards, things fall apart. However, if you're squishy and you're not in a gold lead and you try to put down wards, you get killed really fast by Afreeca, and snowballing against poke comps, whatever the state of the vision game, has always been the way to beat a poke comp. So we'll see if Afreeca Freecs can just stick to landing. Now that Spirit's in the lineup and we speculate, the shot calling should be a bit clearer. Yeah,
it does feel like snowball or be snowballed upon for the old poke comp, but at this stage of the game, just got a lot of laning going on and Punch walking over a ward here, so not going to be in as much trouble is Keen as, okay. Maybe I spoke too soon.
I had the pleasure of watching Nogari solo queue. He streams on DWG, a Chinese streaming site. Griffin and DAMWON streaming on there. And just focusing on his laning phase. Because he's a player that even when he was in Challenger, every top lane I speak to would be like, this guy's mechanics are insane. You never really know what that means, because it feels like significantly better mechanics than the enemy isn't a thing anymore in League of Legends. The skill floor is so high, and theoretically the ceiling isn't as high as it first appeared 5 years ago when an insect kick was the coolest thing ever.
Yep.
Watching him lane, it was unbelievable. I watched a Rise versus Vlad game really intently, obviously just watching his solo POV and his ability to thread every single last hit with just auto attack and just off cooldown on something like the mana flow ban, just harass. It wasn't just a good matchup being exploited, it was pretty next level in terms of laning phase. Now he gets ganked very repeatedly, he definitely has flaws in his play, but he can be just so punishing in 1v1 laning. It reminds me of Khan on Longzhu Gaming in 2017. So really, really fun champion and a fun player to watch, because it feels like Nogari could be anything when it comes to top laners. He is that prodigiously talented.
We'll see whether his over-aggression is still going to be his biggest Achilles heel as he goes aggressive once again onto Keen. Keen doing a fair bit of damage here. Corrupting Potion with that Time Warp Tonic keeping him alive for the moment. But if there's going to be a Shock Blast landing, Q's in there from Punch. And he's going to take the northern way out in order to keep himself alive against Spirit. The Predator has been popped, though, and Nogari down beneath 100 health. Could that be 2 kills? The Spirit says, nope, I'll take 1 and I'll back away.
He doesn't have the cooldown to get a second kill, and he doesn't want to impact the minion wave either for his TPing back from his top laner. Big play there. Showmaker picks up some damage.
Yeah, exactly. Almost down to 100 health is Yukal, dodging out of the way of the trouble bubble. I thought the Cassiopeia would be okay. The
everywhere.
Answer is no, exactly. Every single lane doing battle as Hoyt is so hungry. He wants to find Jelly, but isn't going to flash for it. They're just going to win that trade and tell Afreeca to go home.
I wasn't sure if Pulverize was available, but if so, you can't flash there because you get Pulverized, take 2 target shots, you probably die, given where they were in the lane. So that was a close shave, we'll say. Like you say, hungry hippo there was the Catfish. No kills happened, but there was almost blood in every lane.
Yeah, absolutely. One after the other as well. Thank you very much, says the Observers, as we're going to have a look at this top lane kill once again. Nogari going very aggressive, and Punch just delivered this kill.
Nogari gets into flip range, but do notice he doesn't take a turret shot when he gets flipped. He was literally half a Teemo away from turret range. Now, Spirit's in the right spot. He's able to get in, has to flash for it. You might wonder, why doesn't he chase? Well, he'd need 3 autos to get the kill, and he wasn't going to get 3 autos. No. At that point, so smart to back away, and it keeps the minion wave in a spot where Keen doesn't just randomly lose control of the lane.
And Nogari's going to try and get some control back here as well as Keen with the Purge. going to do his very best to try and at least dissuade this Jace from throwing too many shock blasts in his face. As you can see, the dissuasion not going to work out so far.
Well, when you have the Kleptomancy, you're very opting into any trades like this. Gotta admit, I'm not a huge fan of the new Kleptomancy in almost every top lane matchup situation we're in.
No, even without the Frostmancy happening, it feels like Klepto is still something that everyone wants to be doing as the exhaust is thrown down. Punch has a free delivery here, but the miasma is fantastic there from UCal, but still has to invest the cleanse in that gank attempt.
Not every Cassiopeia would just cleanse there to stop damage top lane.
Yeah, Keen has hit that level 6. Noguri doesn't have it just yet, but he's Jace. It doesn't matter, and that's the fear beyond death, and Keen gets the kill back.
And we don't get to watch Keen's solo queue games because Afreeca doesn't play much solo queue, and you're reminded his opponent just as talented as Noguri. Nicely done there on the solo kill, and that puts some wins in the sails, just not respecting the Ignite flip over by the Urgot.
Well, there's a cleanse picked up by Showmaker. He's not going to get stunned up by the Petrifying Gaze, but still takes a whole bunch of his health bar.
And we're seeing some trades and
there's
punches.
Some biffo this game, probably.
Biffo is what we want to see. We don't want to see one team dunking on the other. Afreeca Freecs want to get a decent start here so they can try engaging before the poke comp is truly online. We're looking for the Ludens in the mid lane. We're looking for the 2 items on the Ezreal. We're seeing already the GP10 on the Zoe. We'll see if there's also a Frostfang on Ezreal, like we have been suggesting.
Yep, Bubble is going to land there, but Spirit in a good position. UCal just going to grab the 30 gold for the control ward, and they're going to continue moving around the bottom side of the map. Infernal Drake, once again, going to be spawning very early. It's DAMWON and Afreeca very even here, despite the extra kill on the Afreeca Freecs side.
So Ignite was just flipped over, and it's the Q into instant all-in this play there. Nicely done through all of this. Comes in, Ignite's late. Goodbye to the Jace. Couldn't have played it more perfectly because literally the Q was shot out as the Ignite was coming off Unsealed Spellbook and the 6-minute timer.
Yeah, and I believe Keen also flashed for the Disdain so that Noguri couldn't just baseball bat him out of there with his hammer. So just nicely played, beautiful stuff, and what we expect from these world-class top laners.
And it's just the kind of click and you might miss it, right? It's just the,
you
know, you get the global warning, right? That he's changing his summoner spell and like, ooh, Ignite, that's a bit scary. But as your brain registers that, he's already all into you and you're dead. So super well played by Keen on the top side. Summoner's down on both top laners, but that's a good defensive ward. And this is the side of Keen that we saw in spring season of last year where he came in and actually played more Marin style. He was playing tanks, he was playing defensive before the carries came out in summer. And his top lane sense for someone who, like Noguri, is very mechanically talented, separates him right now if I'm trying to separate Noguri and Keen in a tier list.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that he played beyond his years. There's the kickback as the Urgot is going to be delivered. And yes, we might have been singing his praises, but what can you do 2v1? The answer is not a whole lot. Spirit, can you do it again as he throws down the barrel? Doesn't quite find it onto Punch, and the wards are there, but it doesn't seem to matter. Punch just going to wander on out.
Keen plays it as well as he can. You have to look for that CS. You cannot abandon down. It sounds like a cast to curse, but that's just flash up on Lee Sin and a good gank timing by Punch.
Yeah, Spirit just not quite there in time as now Noguri is going to be able to get these turret plates. We'll see how many he can gather as well with a cannon creep. Tanking up this turret and a whole bunch of casters available. Spirit couldn't be there to defend, had to deliver this blue buff over to UCal, and that will be just so much lost for Keen. This is a disaster. I mean, there is losing a death on the top side and teleporting back, and then there's this, where you lose a full minion wave, you don't have teleport to make your way back in again, and your opponent picks up so much of that extra standing gold with these turret plates. Let's have a look at this one once again.
You watch the replay and consider he might be top, I don't know for sure, and just as quick was the trigger finger pulled by Keen. We can say the same thing about Punch. We bigged up his Lee Sin as the champion that gave him some relevance on Kongnu Monster. He does it again here. Very nicely done.
Yeah, Spirit not going to be able to get anything back with that barrel either, as Nuclear not going to find any joy on the True Shot barrage and aiming, not even having to use the spell shield in order to make that one work. Does use it there though, because otherwise that would have been a lot of damage.
So, what is the state of this game, or what does it mean going forward, is something any armchair analyst should be asking at basically every moment in the game. We already outlined that poke comps are about maintaining, growing a gold lead, and in the mid-game, putting down wards and having the coverage to take down objectives while Afreeca consider their options on an engage. The engage team is not behind in gold by any meaningful marker here, and that means the engage should stick if it happens. They they're at least going to be pretty happy with this game state. It's Jace versus Urgot, so we know Jace will have priority in the top side, no relevant CS lead. In the mid lane, it's much harder to judge because, of course, the Frostfang shenanigans are happening. I don't feel like Zoe is a like-for-like when you're replacing a second item Frostfang LeBlanc with a Zoe, just because LeBlanc harasses more reliably than Zoe that needs to hit a lot more skill shots.
Yep.
More Sparkle's damage was nerfed many times, so not going to be as relevant. So Yukal happily farming here. He's got 10 a minute, which lets you know that the denial phase that usually happens with the gold generation hasn't happened. That means Afreeca's pretty bang on to, if they get there and engage, win a team fight. And DAMWON Gaming are going to be all about that vision, and right now it will only be 2 sight stones based on the current completions.
Yeah, we saw a very late Frostfang picked up by, I believe it was Def yesterday on the Ezreal, so Nuclear still has that option if he would like to, but at the moment going towards that Iceborne Gauntlet. Nogri just raining hell down on Keen, continuing to put those screws in on this top side of the map. But Punch is taking a Rift Herald, so isn't going to be too worried about it at this point. No dragons to be taken just yet, as you can see. Spirit is on that bottom side, but Punch might be able to have his cake and eat it too, as Shelly is going to bite the dust, and he should be able to rotate before this dragon is going to get started, as Predator is popped. And Spirit's looking for Showmaker, coming on over as Keen gets kicked back, and Punch just uses him as a way to create some distance between him and the Afreeca Freecs, and they're getting ran around at this point in time. DAMWON Gaming put down the vision, they take Shelly, and they leave.
And when we want to talk about the game state a bit more generally, what we can say from Champ Select, because a lot of people have been saying, all right, Crit 8 carries are back. What about a lot of shields and a Caitlyn, a tank jungler, tank top? One of the reasons you still want priority top laners is Rift Herald pre-14 minutes is that big thing, right, Atlas? It gets you all those turret plays, gets you so much of a snowball lead, and we're still in effectively a snowball meta because of the Jace. I got a control ward top, a control ward on the Rift Herald, an easy start on an objective that everyone wants to take pre-14. So for now, that's keeping the tanks at bay. But anything changes around it, and the meta may change very promptly.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to talk about the game state as it is right now as well, talking about the items that have been picked up. Iceborne Gauntlet is now here for Nuclear, but he wants to be able to finish his Manamune before he can really start utilizing that 2-item spike. You've got Ghostblade done for Nuggery, and I feel like DAMWON Gaming are at a point where they can fight as soon as Showmaker gets an item.
But that item will be Illuden's, and that item is going to be really late. He still doesn't have his quests, so he's not really getting
80 CS behind.
Exactly.
I mean, we talk about 50 as being that mark where you can hit parity after you complete that quest, and if you start farming after you're 50 CS behind, that feels good. 80 CS, that's where you're talking about disaster striking.
But you know what's one way to get him over? The timing's being a bit off. Let's go top lane and get a completed turret. It's going to die on this charge. You're going to get the final 2 plates. The Infernal's going to try to be the answer. There's not really any pokes, so surely you have to give this up, is my first thought. Can DAMWON Gaming stop the Drake going?
Well, Battlestar is going to do a lot of AoE damage here as the teleport is flying in already from DAMWON Gaming. Spirit very, very low. In fact, the entire backline is struggling, and Jelly by himself has only the ultimate to keep him alive, and now the poke is reigning supreme. DAMWON bouncing forward, picking up kills left, right, and center, and Afreeca Freecs, they couldn't actually make the play happen.
They got their cake and ate it too. They get top lane turret. They can't stop the Rift Herald re-engage.
Yeah, that's another bot to come in, but that's just Spirit delivering his life over. A Devour's already available from Hoyt. And Keen underneath this turret. I'm still not sure whether he's even safe, as Nugger is the one tanking things up. But the corrosive charge is not going to land, and Keen goes golden to see his own death. Nuclear picks up that kill, and DAMWON find another skirmish to put them over the edge.
And DAMWON routs the enemy team. They'll even get a secondary charge as they start the Infernal. They got the last 2.5 turret plates there, so 2 turret plates go down. They get a secondary charge, Infernal, and 4 for 0. That's just a game ender. In most games, Atlas, it's going to take an insane change for this to go the way of Afreeca. Spirit comes in, they leash the Drake, they don't commit to it. Maybe they're worried about the mana bar being too low on Yukal if there is an engagement. TP is pretty late by the Urgot, he can't frontline, and Jelly's ult is down before anything happens.
Yep, and also, Hoyt just bought so much time with his stopwatch. They wanted to get the pick off onto the Tahm Kench, but just wasn't happening, and they waited around trying to kill him for way too long. The DAMWON just gets everyone together, gets their ducks in a row, and the Paddle Stars just decimated their health bars.
They must have assumed, or Spirit must have assumed, that they would start leashing the Drake so it would only be one person checking the brush. That actually was 2, and they just took him down. He was very, very low. Keen can't do anything on the back end. this is such a big swing. Watch the gold here. It's already 4,000 gold in an instant, Atlas, in one passage of play. 4,000 gold pre-15 minutes is a mountain of gold. And that's with 8%, oh, actually 10% now, bonus stats from the AD and AP on the Infernal. Hell on a handbag came pretty fast for the Afreeca Freecs.
It did, and once again, you've got a game where DAMWON in both of their solo lanes have those bounties built up. And Spirit still, once again, going aggressive, finds the barrel, but doesn't land it onto Hoyt. That is just not what you want to see out of the veteran jungler trying to make a play desperately to get Afreeca back into this game.
They knew that Jace was alone. They wanted to make the play happen in the grouping phase. It doesn't work. Nothing is coming together for Afreeca, even with their roster change. And this is why, when we saw Spirit play the first time, right, when he started his autofill shenanigans, off air, the thing I was saying is, yes, they beat Gen G, and Gen G's out of form, but what do they pay forward from this victory? Because at some point, Spirit's not going to be playing bot lane Annie 1v2 and things like that. At some point, they're going to have to square up and play meta. I think games like this remind you that they have so little stage experience playing on meta stuff with any five they start with. They haven't worked out their starting roster. They don't seem to know what style of comp to play. They tried easy to execute hard engage in game number 1. It didn't work. They're trying it again in game number 2 with Spirit. It's not working. Afreeca Freecs are now halfway through their season. They play, what, 1 or 2 more best of 3s, and then it's literally the second round robin. And they seem to know very little about how to find a victory in a future game.
Yeah, and this is another reason why we didn't like the fact that we are on this weird and wonderful patch as well, because that normalcy, we're not going to find out very much about until we move over to the hotfixed version, and then our 9.4, which will be coming very shortly after that as well. Feels like we have one patch rotation for the next few weeks here in the LCK.
The goal should always be 5 super talented teams come playoffs.
Yeah.
And a week like this might actually hinder the growth of a team because the meta is so skewed with how things are going. Now, this game hasn't been about Frostfang shenanigans. Yes, it is now cashed in, but it's very, very late. It's around 16 minutes the quest was done, and we already mentioned it. Yukal's popping off in terms of CS here, so I would say this Frostfang is only for the wards.
Yeah.
And the Zoe may not be someone you should repeat it on. It's just been about decision-making being better from DAMWON than Afreeca Freecs.
And also their skirmishing has just been so incredibly, incredibly strong.
And just so starkly better than the opponents.
Yeah.
It's a one thing to say DAMWON Gaming have done good stuff, and they do deserve that positivity, but Afreeca have been all over the place. They're trying again, though. What else can they do?
Yeah, well, Jelly looking for the flank here. Does have Hex Flash, but not his real Flash, so couldn't get the Flash Headbutt Pulve or anything like that. And DAMWON Gaming just full on back, as is the thing you want to do with this Poke Siege composition. They're playing it out pretty nicely now as we hit the mid-game. Be a couple of minutes, the Baron will be spawning, and then DAMWON can play the little dance, have Nuguri in a side lane. And it feels like the pick composition got exactly what it wanted. It wanted to get a slight advantage, and now it can just build on it and build on it and build on it.
But now Afreeca's the S word, right? They're the scaling comp, and you just can't say that with a straight face because it's Essence Reaver, which is the new meta build on Sivir, of course, very mana-hungry champion, but Essence Reaver for a one-item power spike compared to what existed before and what exists now, it just sucks because all it gives you is cooldown reduction and some mana back. It doesn't give you old Storm Razor or current Infinity Edge. The one-item power spike is pretty much absent, right? And Sivir, as a champion, can be criticized for being absent till 5-6 items. 5-6 items is looking just a hilarious amount of time away in this game, and right now DAMWON can probably win the 5v5s, and we already know they easily win the Siege War.
Exactly, and they can also set up to try and get these picks so effectively as well. Aiming Spell Shield already on cooldown. Spirit, he was here for a moment, but he's going to be taken down very quickly. True Shot Barrage is going to soften up so many of these members, and the Trouble Bubble lands onto aiming as well. They can't quite get over and finish him off. Oh, I spoke too soon as Nuguri lands the Empowered Shock Blast, and the reward is another Infernal Direct.
I think multiple members of DAMWON Gaming are on fire. Atlas NBA Jam would be shouting all about it. From downtown is Nuguri to pick up that kill. And there's just nothing Afreeca Freecs can do against. It's double Infernal on a poke comp. You just drop your pen and say, you know what? I think DAMWON Gaming's mistakes will have to lead to a victory from Afreeca, because otherwise, the 2-0, you might want to pen that one down.
Yeah, maybe pick the pen back up again because Keen stole the red buff, so they're not out of it just yet, Papa Smithy, but No, all jokes aside, it does feel like DAMWON are just leagues ahead when it comes to playing out these team fights, and it's not often that in the LCK you get to talk about just straight up outskilling your opponents, but that feels like what's happened this entire series long, apart from in the isolated top lane 1v1 and 2v2.
But if we come away saying, isn't Keen pretty good, otherwise, whoopsie. Speaking of whoopsies.
Yeah, speaking of whoopsies indeed, as they'll take down the turret and the
Sivir
so easily. Yeah, exactly right. He's hearing all of this praise that Klid's getting for his clean Lee Sin, and he's like, sub me in, boys. I've got something I need to show you guys. Looking pretty damn good, but man, in a game like this, it's a pretty easy time to look good.
And you can't help but shout, even though it's getting another kill on a team that's so far behind, because it's in style, Atlas. And
oh, yeah.
That is why DAMWON Gaming was a team people wanted to see do well, because these guys have come into games with their entire roster top 10 solo queue at the end of a season, which is an insane mechanical thing. And this was just 2 plays from Punch. The first one here onto the Gragas, impressive. The downtown here. From downtown is coming now. Boom. Oh. And that wasn't a hitboxing. That was smack back on to the Sivir. But watch this one where, well, first one thing comes in, and then Punch says, how about a kill for me?
Yep. And Nuguri just takes down the turret just to make sure the Punch wasn't gonna get hit by anything. And Showmaker, he's the Showmaker. So he's got him a Giant Soul Stealer, 7 stacks already on that one. As the Frostfang transformation has come in, he's now allowed to farm and allowed to continue getting all this money from the poke.
So we got penalty points if a team shows up and breaks rules. Why are there no style points for games like this? Because it's very easy on the eyes, DAMWON Gaming, when they can all play carries and play aggressively.
We need a Harlem Globetrotters award or something like that. And at the moment, DAMWON have won it for this week.
And DAMWON are the sort of team where Harlem Globetrotters, obviously they have not earned just yet, but you see the genesis of it, right?
Oh, yeah.
You see this team where Nuguri doesn't overextend too much, where they play around some of the tendencies, where Showmaker, for once, isn't shackled to a Galio, Urgot, Lysandra kind of champion, just like FLICKR is having kind of his season-best performance on the Zoe this week. And things start to come together. The Mana Medjais comes out, the personality comes out. It's good to see that swagger from DAMWON Gaming, and you know the coach Kim Jung-soo, the Invictus Gaming coach who saw so much swagger from IG in 2018, is watching on and saying, why did it take 6 best-of-3s for this to come out?
Yep, that's exactly right. I have a feeling that we're getting very close to Showmaker bringing us the Katarina, because when they get confident, that's what happens. Trouble Bubble lands, and Spirit has to just body block for the cow. He has to go back to pasture, though, because Jelly ain't doing anything with that low health bar, and that's going to give a lot more space to DAMWON. The Baron's still available here at this stage, as aiming not going to get trouble bubbled that time. Beach ball a little bit wide, but inner turret is going to be taken down. Only 1 more of them remain on the map, as 5 turrets to 0 is the scoreline. And the only thing that's taking away from a perfect game is 2 kills on a Nuguri on the top side of the map, illustrating exactly what we were talking about. DAMWON just outplaying them everywhere other than top.
And all 5 champions on DAMWON have a line skill shot of death, except maybe the tongue coming out from the Tahm Kench. Because if you get hit by a Shock Blast, a Lee Sin Q, a Zoe Paddlestar, or an Ezreal Q, your life's probably swiftly going to be done, because there's going to be a second skill shot and you are going to be dead. So much threat with the extra double Infernal they've loaded on. And Afreeca just put down a Baron Ward and say, can we have a bit of time?
Please don't do this yet. Please don't do this yet.
I mean, you know, we're in StarCraft land, so...
Yeah, no rush.
40-minute no rush might be the old chat here from Afreeca Freecs. We don't have old chat enabled, so
yeah, the agreement obviously hasn't come in just yet, because DAMWON Gaming have been smashing them in these skirmishes early, and Afreeca Freecs are like, now can we have the agreement? Let's see whether you can beat us at 45 minutes. If you don't kill us anymore. And Nuguri says, no, I just want to kill you. Look at his items right now. Dustblade completed, Ghostblade, Black Cleaver. He's going towards what could be a Guardian Angel, but it's Nuguri. So I'm not even entirely sure whether it's going to be that.
He has double flat pen, percentage shred, and a BF sword, and boots 2, and double Infernal at 24 minutes, Atlas.
Yeah, that's a lot of ands.
I know.
Yeah.
English goes out the window just because damage calculations do as well.
Yep. I don't think commas were enough. You needed the extra ands for emphasis, as aiming fills up his mana bar with the trouble bubble, but Showmaker's happy for that one. He's got a redemption, as most Zoes tend to do here in the LCK. Been so many Zoe redemptions picked up. DAMWON just going to shove waves over and over again. Scouting redemption comes in. and the Baron has almost entire vision for DAMWON. Keen wants to start up a fight though, as Hoyt might actually just be taken out, and it is Miasma in a great position to deny the flash out there from Hoyt, so they do manage to get themselves some respite as the Catfish is taken out.
Yeah, good call from, you would imagine, you, Carl, given the Miasma, like you say, was the key thing there. To me, he's the only player who can hold his head high because, you know, he did really well on the lane against the Zoe, trying to do shenanigans with the Frostfang. His CS numbers have been really good in a game where there was pressure from every side, right, with how the side lanes were going. It's a nice little play there. It doesn't slow anything down. Unfortunately, it's a kill to get 2 minutes of farm without the Baron just disappearing off the map. It's not a kill to actually get them a Baron start, so that part's a struggle, but all you can say, you know, it's a 9,000 gold lead is, if it's still 9,000 at 40 minutes, maybe Sivir has the items to make DAMWON pay, but that seems like just such an unlikely thing that we don't want to give any false hope to Afreeca fans at home.
Yeah, that's exactly right. About 2,000 gold is what Aiming needs to finish off that Infinity Edge to get that first 3-item power spike, but it's feeling like he's going to need more than that because Nuclear is so close to getting the transformation on his Seraphs. He'll have the double tier stacked up, and these True Shot barrages will mean that Aiming can't even get into ricochet range with anything, especially with Showmaker dancing around as well. We've seen so many Ezreal Zoe compositions, and it's disgusting when it works this well, and DAMWON are showing that they're in a form where it's going to work that well.
And again, you just can't help but look back as hopefully someone will body block here. But Atlas, do consider what Afreeca lost this year. I was a big fan of their roster. There's so much talent. And they're trying something.
Yep, Predator comes forward as Spirit doesn't get the body slam. Doesn't, in fact, get anything as Jelly's just going to be sacrificed. Okay, he's going to survive for the moment. Unbreakable Will keeps him alive for a little bit longer. Even holds on to his flash. Surprising.
I'll give you an estimate question.
Oh, yeah, go.
Kuro, Tucson, removed from the roster. Think about how many competitive games we're talking that are lost. And while I love the talent on Afreeca, and I bought into No Fake coming back, the old Rocks Tigers coach, I bought into the hype of what this roster could be. We see that right now, after starting a bit of a free fall at the start of the season, they just don't seem to have the confidence to bounce back. Now, they do have the wards to know about the Baron, but do they have any tools to stop it? Your first thought is no.
And Predator is on cooldown there as well. We've got Righteous Glory to get Keen in there, but True Shot Barrage is going to tag him up first, and they're just going to take down this Baron and now turn into the team fight. Trouble Bubble doesn't land, and DAMWON Gaming looking just to try and get out of there. They're making the consistent play, and Hoyt has the Devour to deny the Trouble Bubble, bringing Showmaker back to his death.
Portal jump into Devour, very interesting there. They found a way for Portal jump to be an escape. Who knew?
Yep.
But that's a fun combo that we see that hasn't really been explored previously. Actually gets them out. They can come with the Baron buff, the Abyssal Voyage, and some friends to stop this turret going down. There's just no exchanges when it comes to Afreeca Freecs. They can't get in range to do damage, and all this harass is killing them.
Yep, the Disdain going to be exactly that there, as Noguri just bumps him back into the DAMWON roster. Nuclear unable to follow it up with enough damage, but now with the Baron buff surrounding them, they'll go back, they'll buy more items, and they'll try and break open this base. No inner turrets remain, 6 turrets to 0, wanting to increase that number by taking down these inhibitor turrets and putting the final screws into the Afreeca Freecs.
Here's DAMWON. They're bringing a big Baron buff minion wave to the mid lane. Now, not everyone's here. You know, as Ezreal's Envision in top side.
But what can Afreeca Freecs actually do about it? True Shot Barrage is going to take half the health bar off Aiming, and Noguri looks at him hungrily, knowing that he could probably just 2 rotation Aiming. And by 2 rotation, I mean 2 spells, not rotation of spells.
No rotations necessary. Monte Cristo need not apply in this particular game. Everything just raining down hell. So many line skill shots of death, and that's 2 inhibitors swiftly gone.
Yeah, very, very quickly done, and you can see the minion wave prepped on the bottom side as well, as this poke composition is doing exactly that over and over again. It feels like it's a pick comp because the poke is doing almost enough damage to take down an entire health bar. Rather than anything else, 2 inhibitors seems to be enough here for DAMWON as they're taking down Nexus turrets now. This one, very, very close. The next will surely follow swiftly as the Paddle Stars just make sure everyone doesn't have a health bar, and Punch gets the kickback. That was so sexy as Spirit tries to do what he can, but he just can't get the work done. Showmaker coming on forward. He's so incredibly fast. As Noguri in the front line, he's got the GA, and Afreeca Freecs is only keen, watching on in horror as once again the Nexus is going to be taken down. This is the DAMWON that we wanted after week 1, and finally we're going to see it against the Afreeca Freecs.
The amount of swagger that they showed in this game, they were on fleek as a squad, and they didn't even need the man himself, who will play in our second series of the night, to do it. Big spheres from Punch in this particular game. His playmaking just beautiful on the Lee Sin. What a reintroduction to the LCK after 2 years away. Fantastic game, even above Canyons, and he was good on Lee Sin in the first game of the night. This is why there's something about DAMWON Gaming, and this is the DAMWON Gaming we want to see play it forward in the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's exactly right. So it feels like they jumped off the train just a little bit after that week 1 that looked very, very good, but it just took a Lunar New Year break. They went and they had a chat to their parents. Their parents told them they loved them, and they go back and they start wrecking face yet again. Sometimes
you give a bow to the crowd because that's the respectful thing to do, and sometimes you do it because you know you gave a performance worthy of a bow. Take a bow, DAMWON Gaming. Feel good. You've earned the smiles of your coaching staff. Really, really impressive game number 2. One of the most impressive isolated games I've had the pleasure of watching in a long time. Does it mean something? Because Afreeca Freecs right now seem just without a paddle, you know? They seem really without a hope now after losing just such a one-sided game. Incredible. And this is an Afreeca Freecs lineup that made some good off-season acquisitions, but as a whole, as a 5, it feels more like BBQ Olivers than SK Telecom T1.
Yeah, it's really just not what we were expecting from such an incredibly powerful and storied top side of the map. In Keen, Spirit, and UCal, but Dread comes in, looks like the better jungler, but they just can't seem to pilot their compositions without Spirit on the lineup. And you saw subbing him in just didn't give them that glue that they needed in order to look like a team that could contend with the top 5. But DAMWON Gaming, this is the story that we wanted. They're now 1 point behind Hanwha Life Esports in that top 5. They've hit relative parity, having a 0 in that column, and they want to increase those numbers because Griffin, their former rivals in Challenger, are 11 points ahead of them.
And because of that rivalry, which is again a one-note rivalry, DAMWON Gaming have never won a single game over Griffin. Wouldn't if I had it written down here, wouldn't it say DAMWON Gaming finished 5th and then have to run the gauntlet with Griffin as the gauntlet boss? Like, whether you make it there or not, that's what you want. You want to see DAMWON play a lot of games in single elimination format. That's what I want to see, selfishly, because the ceiling, have we seen it? Because that was pretty damn impressive.
That was pretty damn close.
But given
they
have 10 players in top 10 solo queue in the past, you feel like the ceiling is undefined without that being some kind of cute turn of phrase.
Yep.
This was just unbelievable performance from them. But we also know there will be other games where Noguri's running it down, where their macro lets them down. They are not a perfect team, but they have flaws, just like Sandbox Gaming have shown at times. But when it comes together, you definitely want to get a front row seat to games like this.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And MVP is going to be the most difficult one. I'd actually probably give it to Hoyt, because his ability in this team fight to deny any sort of kill from the Afreeca Freecs was so beautiful at the beginning. His devours over the walls, the way that he was following around his team, but there was so much playmaking, and Punch was so good.
I'm giving it to the One Punch Man. It's definitely Punch for this game. His Lee Sin was on fleek. Beautiful stuff in this game. Somehow made Clid look like he's just a top Lee Sin and not consensus ultra great, but it's only one game, so of course you don't earn a reputation from just a single game.
Yeah, hasn't taken it away from Clid for me just yet, but you're exactly right. He was hella clean this game.
This was the one where everything comes together, right? Every Q's hitting.
Yep. This particular play, absolutely stunning.
The one at the end, actually, as the Nexus exploded, was just as good.
Yep.
So, yeah, really, really nice stuff from Punch here. My guess is he will win, but like you say, plenty of other people. No pretenders, only contenders on the side of DAMWON Gaming. 20,000 damage from Jace, and that's with Keen and UCal both playing their lanes really well.
Yeah, as far as laning phase is concerned, Afreeca Freecs didn't have any problems, but that's what we expect from this squad, because we know there is so much talent in those solo lanes for this Afreeca Freecs squad. So the laning phase is something that will work out, but having that synergy, having that cohesion that DAMWON have demonstrated, having been a squad together for so incredibly long, is what was so in stark relief for the Afreeca Freecs, especially this series, but also in series gone by.
It's just a job where if you ask me, like, what's like a coaching job you would want?
Yeah.
In an ideal world, it'd be something like DAMWON Gaming, because you look at the canvas, it's blank, but it has so much promise, and you're like, this could be anything.
Yeah.
It's a sort of job where if Como left SKT, the Como that started the SKT revelation, and revolution, I should say, would obviously want a team like this, right? Because the talent is clear, and here's the One Punch Man. He only played a single game, but he won the MVP, and he looked really good doing it.
Damn right he did. Hopefully we're going to get the highlight from that last play as well, which really sealed the deal. It was a DAMWON Gaming that was playing well as a team, but Punch coming in and coming off cold on the bench and then having a performance at this level is impressive in so many different ways. Here for DAMWON and here for Punch especially.
It's one of those things where if you told me this was a top 20 Lee Sin game of all time, it'd be pretty hard to argue because nothing went wrong. Everything was clean. He was in position for everything. His in-fight mechanics and decision-making was, you know, the chessboard of like, all right, the kick flash into the flash Q, got to keep the safeguard to save someone. Everything came together for him. Lovely performance.
Yeah, really nice stuff, and we're going to be able to have a chat with him as well, joined by Showmaker as we throw it over to Ji-sun for some translation.
Thank you very much, guys. Today we're going to be having an interview with Showmaker and Punch from DAMWON Gaming. I guess a lot of fans are so happy with today's victory. How do you guys feel? Recently, we had 4 games losing streaks. So yeah, our team atmosphere wasn't really good as well. So we did have some hard time. It's really relieving and really happy that we were able to pull out such a great performance today. And Punch, long time no see. How have you been? I was watching my teammates practicing and trying to get myself better with my performance by myself. So it has been a while since you have been able to talk to the fans. So is there a message you want to say to the fans? Well, I wasn't really expecting to sub in for game 2, so I was a bit worried that I would be the reason why for losing the game 2, but game did go well, so I'm really happy. And today, it's Valentine's Day, so we prepared a little present for you guys. Thank you very much. Let's give a warm round of applause.
와, 잘 어울리죠. 카메라 한 번만 잡아주세요. 와, 감사합니다. 네. 앞으로 자주 써주시면 좋을 것 같아요.
Hope you guys like it and sometimes wear it. So let's move on to the games. Showmaker, you tried the Klepto Frostfang meta. Especially it was a late no farm meta. What kind of strategy was that? If you buy the support item in the early game, at the beginning, you only earn 10 gold, so I just rather try to get more synergy with the corrupt potion. I haven't seen Zoe going for no farm meta. Does it go well together? Any AP champions fit so well with the no farm Klepto meta. Are you planning to play some more no farm meta? I think it's really fun. You know, whenever you hit someone, you get to earn money. Well, I'm really bad at farming, so it's a meta for me. I'm really sad that there will be a hotfix. But game 1, Noguri actually had a very hard time, dying 3 times in a row in the early phase. What did he say at that moment? At first, he said, I'm sorry. So we were trying to cheer him up. But in the end, as we won the game, he said, oh, I got carried. Thank you, guys. Did he say he got carried? Yeah, I said he got carried. What did you guys say? At first, when he was dying a lot, we were just like, it's okay. We're gonna just smash them in the game 2. I just wanted to cheer him up. So in the game 2, you guys said, give them a great punch to Afreeca Freecs players, especially Punch. You subbed in. So what kind of feedbacks went back and forth going into game 2? We did say, yeah, let's just try to be a little bit more aggressive, but I just wanted to just go with the flow of my team. Punch, Lee Sin is one of your most picked champion. Did you practice it a lot? Well, I always play Lee Sin whenever I want to win in solo queues, so I have a lot of confidence on it. Game 2. Top lane was the hot place. You did help Nuguri a lot. Was that all planned or like happening in the game? Well, before the game, when we were loading the game, we did say let's just play around the top lane. Especially Nuguri has a lot of laning priority, so it was really easy to pick up a kill over there. But actually, when he got solo killed, I was like, oh, what's wrong with Nuguri today? But even though Nuguri dies a lot, he always wins lane, so I wasn't really that much worried about him. Is there a message for Nuguri? I hope to see you solo killing the opponents next time. Today, I have one more question on your Lee Sin. What kind of jungle path do you mainly try? To put it simple, in the early game, you have to try a lot of actions. So you have to try to pull up some plays. So that's what you have to keep your focus on. Mainly on the ganks, yeah. So it's time to wrap up today's interview. The Showmaker, I think your performance today was the best so far in the splits currently. Are you satisfied with your own play today? Yes, I do. It's not the best performance in my life, but yeah, I'm quite satisfied. DAMWON still have 2 more matches to end the first round robin. Is there any last message? We did stop our losing streak, so I want to make sure to pick up a victory for the remaining games in the first round robin. And Punch? I want to show good performance to my fans in the upcoming series, so please keep supporting us. Thank you. So today's Valentine's Day, and this camera is right in front of you guys. So is there any K-heart for the fans? Cheese. Thank you. So this will be the end of the interview with Showmaker and Punch from DAMWON Gaming.
Thank you very much, Chi-sun, for that translation and the adorable Valentine's Day message at the end. And look, it was a pretty adorable day for DAMWON fans as well, because their team looking damn good after that series.
And obviously, watching the games, the exact reverse true of Afreeca Freecs, whose free fall does continue. They don't really inspire us with any of their roster choices, and they leave us with a long break Atlas about an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's
before
a huge one.
The second best team in Korea, Sandbox Gaming, hit the Rift.
Exactly right. And as you can see, that point number will be 0 for DAMWON as they hit parity, but Afreeca Freecs going beneath Gen G, and that is not where you want to be, because they beat Gen G. That was one of the only teams that they've been able to take down alongside Jin Air. Jin Air will be taken to the Rift in our second series of the day against Sandbox Gaming. They want to get a win on the board, but this is going to be pretty damn tough competition if they want to succeed. Griffin, the only team that have been able to beat Sandbox so far. Other teams have been able to take games. But Jin Air, what has the break given them, and have they been able to bounce back? The answer in most of our minds is probably no, but I'm looking forward to a surprise.
They got to earn those high expectations. They don't have them yet. So guys, please stick with us. Valentine's Day League of Legends will continue, but about an hour and 20, long break.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Thank you so much for watching our first series. Go and do something fun for an hour and 20 minutes, and we'll see you back then afterwards.
You take me higher when I feel low, make my world brighter when I'm alone. I keep on rolling, all with your fuel. You're like my gasoline that makes my dream come true. This is the beginning.